progressive enough. Let's roll out the red carpet for terrorists who kidnap women and force them to undergo surgery after every act of rape to restore their virginity. That's compassionate liberalism. Stick a fork in Sweden, because it's done. And this once proud nation can now only serve as a warning to others about what happens when governments become afflicted with the mental disorder of extreme liberalism.
That's
Check
right.
out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Joseph Watson for Infowars.com.
And expanding on all that, here, radio listener, while Paul is talking, he's showing mainstream news articles, pushing it like it's legitimate. And I was reading about Sweden, where these families prepare their daughters for the third world populations who don't even have a culture anymore. They adopt kind of U.S. gangster rap. And then, whether they're Eastern European thugs or Muslim radical thugs, whatever, the families then deliver their daughters when they're about 15 to date them and then to be handed over to prostitution, basically, and to have cigarettes put out on them. I'm serious. It's a sacrament. You just hand your daughters over and your tax money to the rapists because it's trendy. A man's going to do what a man's got to do, to quote John Wayne. All right, let's go to your phone calls, and then I'm going to get into all this other news throughout the day and a bunch of breakdowns, special reports. It's going to be jam-packed, but they have to teach you to be mentally ill, to accept anything, so that you have no morals, so you can be dominated and controlled. And that's why political correctness sounds so crazy, that you can't have an American flag on your shirt or on your truck at a public school in South Carolina, or you can't play with a Nerf gun in your backyard. The school says they have no jurisdiction. They do it to train you that they can take you 1,000,000 miles. You're being hit by psych warfare. All right, let's go to Bill in California. Thanks for holding. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Let's do some good news today, and that's the Texas State Guard, which is not the National Guard. They are purely a state organization. The governor, Craig Abbott, commander-in-chief, Major General John F. Nichols is adjutant. They are composed of true patriots who are volunteering their time.
Oh, by the way, I mean, I've seen these jokes in the media going, our Army can destroy the Texas Guard. The Texas Guard is one of the few states that has this. It's a great organization. I know a lot of these people, and a lot of them are the very best of the best that do this to volunteer to help the state of Texas and this country. And so you're absolutely right. They are great people. And folks that make fun of them like they're ROTC or something have no idea what they're talking about.
Not at all. These are seasoned veterans, usually, and they are the cream of the cream. They're well-educated, very experienced, and true patriots. And I would suggest that you get Joe Biggs out there to set up a little special on them and who they are, what they do, and the courage that the governor has shown in putting them against the Jade Helm. By the way, almost all states have a state guard.
No, I know, but ours is more robust, and Texas is truly independent. I know most states have a state guard of folks that come out and help with traffic control and things like that. But the state guard here, particularly from what I've read, is different than other states. Isn't that correct?
Not much, no. It dates all the way back to 1823. They were chartered by the Emperor of Mexico and, of course, moved over to the Republic when it was formed. So they are the oldest of the military forces in Texas.
I knew that, and I know their charter is different because Texas is the Lone Star State, the only state to enter by treaty. But thank you so much. Great call, Bill. Thanks for holding. We're going to be back in 70 seconds with Chris, Jordan, Donald, and others. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones. This is the InfoWar. Conference calls for amnesty for rioters, looters in Baltimore. Video, school children ordered to remove offensive U.S. flag. Pro-abortion group labels 20-week ban inhuman. It's inhuman to not want to kill babies. Up is down, down is up. Caught in a Lie, Jade Helm 15, excellent report with Joe Biggs. Seymour Hersh slams establishment media, says, I'm not backing off anything I said. China's secret space weapon targeting U.S. Soon every satellite will be at risk. Corporate gods order Obama to ram through the TPP. That's just some of what's coming up today. We're taking your phone calls right now. Let's go to Chris in Chicago. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling, brother.
I'm watching you on your Prison Planet TV. I've been a subscriber for about 3 months, and I recommend it to everyone. It's a very, very good way to enhance your radio show. Alex, the Fast and Furious episode seems to have gone down a memory hole, except with, certain patriots like yourself and your listeners. We remember this. And living in Chicago, I've wondered that it seems similar that so much violence is going on, and you can't buy a gun in Chicago. And I know that there's no limit to the depths of depravity of some of our leaders, and I'm just thinking myself, it just crosses my mind all the time that our government might be supplying guns. Why wouldn't they be supplying guns to the gangs in Chicago to help get rid of your and my gun rights? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on...
it's amazing you bring that up. We've caught them engaging in Fast and Furious and other gun-running operations to destabilize Mexico, the Southwest, track the guns, blame the Second Amendment. CBS News got those documents. The reporter released them. She ended up losing her job over that. Remember at the time going, how is CBS doing this? Well, they had a real reporter. When Al Jazeera was interviewing me yesterday, they said, okay, the interview's over. And they went, wait. And the producer, this woman, she goes, wait a minute, I've got questions about guns. And so he starts asking the gun questions. He goes, you claim there's a move to ban guns, but everyone knows it's not true. And I went, they've banned guns in Chicago, New York, D.C. Even though the Supreme Court's ruled they've got to reverse it, they haven't. They've made it incredibly hard, almost impossible. They go, no, they haven't. You can own guns anywhere. No one wants your guns. It's like Bloomberg writes articles going, I'm the most pro-Second Amendment person anywhere. I believe in it. It's like, don't run, we are your friends from Mars Attacks. This is what they do. And so according to Al Jazeera, there is no move to get your guns, sir. You can go buy guns anywhere in Chicago. Of course, that's not true. And these gun groups admit in their internal documents a gun ban's what they want. But there is no Jade Helm. There is no NSA spying. There is no open borders. There is no funding ISIS. There is no... but that's a great point. We know that corrupt police departments use the guns that they confiscate from gun dealers and people they raid that don't have their documentation and have been caught selling them out the back door to criminals. That's come out in the news so many times, it makes my head spin. Now, I don't think they've ever caught them where it's been directed by the police chief. Now, I'm sure that might have been happening. It's usually rogue groups doing it because I'm not for corruption in police, but I do get not wanting to destroy valuable firearms and wanting to sell them. And most of the time, they end up selling them to gun dealers or legitimate people out the back door and then giving the money to fraternal groups or whatever. And that is criminal and it shouldn't happen. I get it, though. Not the letter of the law, spirit of the law. But no, departments have been caught selling them to gangs. That's because a lot of time gangs are the puppet henchmen, like in motorcycle gangs will have puppets, like Hell's Angels has puppet groups, front groups, for the police departments themselves. So it's an excellent question, Chris. God bless you. Appreciate your call. We'll be back with more calls in 3 minutes. Stay with us. Free speech on the internet won't be done overnight in just a few seconds, like that satirical piece that Darren McBreen produced for the Nightly News last night. It'll be done incrementally. But even in an incremental push, you finally get to a point where you're cooked. You put the frog in the pot. At first it's cold, then it's warm, then it's hot, then it's boiling, but by then the frog's passed out. We are getting to the frog passing out point, but now the frog's starting to try to climb out a little bit. Texas and other states are going, why are you saying you want to take on veterans and gun owners and you're listing the state as hostile and you've got these drills where you say you're going to be simulating illegal activities? And the Army goes, we're not simulating any illegal activities. That document's probably not real. Alex Jones makes stuff up. Okay, the document's real, but we're not going to be paying anybody off or doing anything illegal or or in plain clothes. Really, here's your manual, and here's your spokesman a month ago saying it. Never mind that. Why do you hate the military? Well, we don't hate the military. That's why it's mainly veterans that are upset and current active duty. And there's been 3 different C-SPAN shows that we've heard about and then gone to the archives and watched. Rob Dew had a piece on it with Leanne McAdoo a few nights ago on the Nightly News, where they'll take an hour with a Pentagon guest on any subject. And let's not exaggerate, 8 out of 10 calls are on Jade Helm and saying, I'm a veteran and I see through this. I just got out 5 years ago and we would be brought to giant training centers no matter what the terrain was. This is for domestic acclamation of the public because they understand there's a states' rights movement and Obama's been shutting off, our infrastructure and doing things unilaterally. And thank you for the call from Colorado. Now let's go to the independent line. Well, I've just got to tell you, there'll be a woman on there that, my husband's active duty right now and he's concerned. And next caller. This is so healthy that people see through what's happening. The problem is that I'm going to your calls. The problem is I'm trying to figure out why they're hyping this so much, why they're making such a big deal about it, why they're misrepresenting everything we've said so much. This is conservatively 10 times. I thought about this a lot. It's about 10 times any previous attack we've been under. Hundreds of newspapers a day, TV shows every day, national news, lying about Infowars.com and yours truly. I don't want to speculate, but I think they may be getting ready to attack military personnel during Jade Helm. And I've said coming up, they'll have false flags where they have patriots target military personnel. Personnel get targeted. Then they say, it's all your fault, Alex Jones, that this group of militia attacked the military. And, of course, it'll be contractors, probably foreign, that do it. They will grab one mentally ill patsy who's being watched in a militia group led by feds who has a low IQ. They'll be drugged up, never again seen like McVeigh or Zarnev, brother. Even if they plead not guilty and say they were set up, they'll never see the light of day. They'll be put in a Supermax prison. And if you look at who's in the Supermax prison, I was doing some studies, on the big one in Colorado. I spent like 4 or 5 hours this weekend looking at it, and I noticed it was all political people like Theodore Kaczynski and Terry Nichols and others who basically said they were set up later and that was part of a larger operation. And they admit the Justice Department then runs what they eat, who they can talk to, and that they're never allowed basically to ever talk to the media or anybody. So it's just where they send you when you're the new boogeyman, new cutout. Because, you notice that Terry Nichols never attacked anyone since he was arrested. And Terry Nichols came out in affidavits from the time, from lawsuits. I've interviewed people that were in jail with him as well. I've interviewed the lawyers of FBI agents on air. To FBI agents' credit, 2 of them, I remember in the LA Times went public about 5 years after Oklahoma City and said, no, we saw the footage. McVeigh was with a bunch of other men, and there was a cover-up. They seized all the surveillance cameras from surrounding businesses and the YMCA. And they just stick him in that Supermax. He gets out a couple hours a week to stand in a tiny courtyard where he can see the sky. He talks to no one else. Jail guards slide the food under. And every time he gets to talk to somebody, he goes, McVeigh was Black Ops, Special Forces, there to set up militia groups. He didn't want to go out with the bombing. And he came to the house and told me, that's why I'm here. And then we have all the documents where he was high-level infiltrator, highly decorated, in work for Schwarzkopf, all the rest of it, put into an intelligence infiltration operation. We know the name of the German national intelligence officer, the FBI agents, the ATF officers in a team. The whole we have the whole thing from every angle. We know exactly what happened. And you notice he's in a Supermax, all because McVeigh basically ran to his house and told him and cached some stuff there and said, if anything happens to me, this is what's going on. I'm being set up. I'm going to try to stop the bombing. And they might not have even burned McVeigh. They were probably just going to blame